What does hunger look like to you? If you imagine someone living in poverty, how do you picture them? Hunger and poverty are complex issues that defy a single definition. Before my trip to Zimbabwe, my knowledge of hunger and poverty was based around the images I'd seen in the media. But the people I met and the programs I visited made me see things differently. When asked to define food security, a lot of Australians think about the protection of food from theft, or laws to prevent contamination by pesticides or poison. But in the Zimbabwean context, and for many places around the world, food security has a different meaning.
I think food security means every household or every community within the locality has enough food to feed its families, to be able to have a decent meal each and every passing day.
The World Food Summit of 1996 defined food security as existing when all people, at all times, have access to sufficient, safe, nutritious food to maintain a healthy and active life. Before travelling to Zimbabwe, I worried about meeting people who were hungry, let alone taking their photographs. It wasn't long before I realised there was nothing to worry about. The people I met, many of them farmers, were warm and welcoming, and they wanted their story told. Fred Sinanga helped me understand a little bit more about the challenges facing farmers in Zimbabwe.
Mutoko, as I said earlier on, is in Mashonaland, East Province, in the northeastern part of the country. It's generally a marginal area in terms of rainfall received. The area receives rainfall which is less than 600 millimeters per annum. So frequent droughts, reduced rainfall regime, it's one major key challenge, and then poor soils in the area. The soils are very sandy. So you need to work on issues of fertility to improve the soil. But we are trying as a project that some crops which do better in sand soils like groundnuts, we tend to promote them, which they can sell to the market and later buy cereal crops which they use for the basic household requirements. But other challenges also, limited land area also. There is a decrease in terms of vegetation cover. So you find out that even grazing area is also limited vis-a-vis population growth. So most of the farmers may lack basic technology to grow certain crops, as well as lack of markets. If there could be some markets available, they would drive production, and develop a value chain. You produce and you tender a crop under contract. If they could get contract farming for groundnuts in a good season, maybe their livelihoods would change. But not to overemphasize climate change and issues of soil fertility tended to limit yields. Basically, the area is mountainous, and as you see, the terrain has got undulating slopes. The vley type of, we call it dumbo farming, wetland farming of gardens used to form the main source of livelihood. With the impact of climate change, it's said that the wetlands are drying up, so there is a decrease in garden area. Or like this time of the year, most wells have dried up and crops cannot be irrigated till Christmas time, that is December. So you find that is limited productivity, and climate change has caused wetlands to disappear basically. And wetlands are major sources of water, and some wells have dried up in this area also. So you can easily see, and even in terms of vegetation cover, the vegetation is not recovering that much fast. Those can be clear impacts of climate change in this area. As we have dollarized in the economy, it is much difficult to sustain a livelihood. Previously, when we were using our own currency, you could pick $1 on the footpath. But now, you really have to work for the money. So most households, on average, can have 1 or 2 meals a day, which are not that nutritious. So hunger is a challenge.
The challenge of maintaining food security is twofold. It doesn't only mean enough food, it means enough nutritious food. A poor diet can lead to health problems that prevent adults from being able to work and children from being able to concentrate at school. AFAP works with local partners to implement programs that develop farming technologies, innovations and local knowledge. These programs support the use of natural resources in sustainable ways. So we're at the Kawiri Nutritional Garden in the Mutoko district in Zimbabwe. This is a shared area with individual plots for people in the community who might have a disability, or they might be widowed, or they might have some health problems. They have an opportunity to come together with the support of AFAP and the Community Technology Development Trust. They're given skills and seeds to grow a garden that's really nutritious. I guess a lot of these people are have a diet that's not very nutritional. When they're elderly or when they have health problems, it's really important that they're getting the nutrients that they need. So each person has an individual plot. They've got diversified crops so that in the case of lack of water or some sort of pest coming in, they've got other things to fall back on. So I know the guys have told me that this year tomatoes and garlic haven't done so well because of pest and not much water, but other things like carrot and the onions are doing really well. They've only been operating for 1 year, but I think you can see that they've really made progress. And the thing that's really struck me is the sense of community. Even though they have individual plots, they work together. If there needs to be some manual labour done, they work together. If one person is sick, the others will come and water their garden. And similarly, if one person doesn't yield as much produce as the rest, they'll share their food. So I guess it's a more food secure future for these guys because they're able to grow their own food for themselves and their families, but they're also able to lean on the power and the resources of the group. So we'll learn a little bit more about what they're doing now. Margaret is an elderly woman who participates in the Kawiri Nutritional Garden. She provides food for her grandchildren because their parents have passed away. Given her age, it's difficult for Margaret to work or farm. But with the support of this community, she is able to provide nutritious vegetables for herself and the children she cares for.
Makore yangu i 72. Nina vana vairi mumwe akaroriwa, mumwe ari kuJubeck, mukomana nomusikana. Upenyu hwangu inini varume vangu vakafa 97. Izvozvi ndasara nonherera mbiri. Hungu ndininoona, nonherera izvozvo ndininogara nadzo. Uye akatakura mhuri yache, wanai wakasara ndakasara nawo inini. Zvese zvinoitika chikoro ndininonge ndichiona. Zvinorema asi hapana zvokuzviita. Takatanga munyurutesheni kuuya kweyakaita kurapera. Ehe. Ndakiita asima handisisina bange pamusana pomuriwo tikucha muno unorapa. Munotadzidza kubatana. Anobva uko neanobva uko tinosenza tiri chinhu chimwe chete. Tichionawo futi imi mishamwari dzedu muchitidzidzisa zvakatifadza izvozvo. Ramangwana redu rinenge rakajeka ngekuti muri kupota muchitidzidzisa nokubatana kwetiriitaku imi muchitidzidzisawo kuti izvi zvinodai izvi zvinodai.
AFAP also supports individuals in local communities through the provision of small livestock. Recipients are nominated by their peers based on the level of food insecurity. They're then given pigs, chickens or goats and work with the community to build suitable pens. AFAP also ensures that the farmers are trained in how to care for the animals.
The benefits basically of small livestock. By small livestock I mean goats, sheep and pigs. They tend to have a high fecundity, rather they have a high reproductive rate. So if one pig so farrows 10 piglets, within 3 months, that can be a major source of livelihoods if the communities are to sell the produce in that context. So and goats are very good at browsing within limited vegetation, as well as production of vegetables in the flea gardens can provide supplementary feeding for the pigs. Livestock in that context tend to have a better opportunity. So our project has also been supporting small livestock to vulnerable households so that their livelihoods may change. Yeah, we have seen broad changes really. There are households who have moved from 0 goats, you know what I mean, no goats on the homestead, to numbers of about 6 or 4 now for the lucky ones where they've reproduced so fast. And in terms of recognition in the communities, usually when you don't have any form of livestock, you are looked down upon. But now that some people received, they are now recognized, and they can share stories on husbandries of those livestock with other colleagues in the village. You know, in terms of productivity on the farms, basically if you combine livestock and crops in a mixed farming type of pattern, you find out that the risks or the hazards for a household are reduced. Because if the crops fail, you tend to turn to livestock and vis-a-vis. So basically, as a program, we are promoting an integrated approach to forms of productivity on farm level. We have a person scheme where if they reproduce, each member will also donate to another household. We expect that to do full village coverage. I mean, I'm talking of over 100 households owning livestock within the next 2 years. Yeah. So, and then this person equation will continue to all other surrounding villages have access to livestock, and would have contributed a lot in eradicating poverty in this area.
So after 2 weeks in Africa, I've really had a great opportunity to learn about what food security means and to put real faces to these issues and these words like poverty and hunger and drought and sub-Sahara Africa. I've seen it. I've seen what happens when it doesn't rain and the drastic effects it has on these people's livelihood and not being able to feed themselves. And I've also learned about the emotional strain that puts on people looking at their children, not being able to feed them, wondering about their future, and it feels quite uncertain. I think the projects that ActionAid and AFAP have funded, I really see the benefits that they have for the community in the long term. It's not just about short-term food aid, although there is a need for that. It's about finding a solution for these people in the long term, giving them the skills, the seeds, the support that they're able to build that safe food security for themselves and for their community. And I thank ActionAid and AFAP so much for that opportunity, and I hope that my images and the documentary that we've made is able to tell that story to Australians, and so that we can build solidarity between the two countries.
While hunger and poverty are certainly part of their journey, so is strength, resilience and the determination to shape a food secure future for themselves.